I want to welcome you all to BLLA's Insider Conversations. Today, we're talking about the creative founder, design, legacy, and the art of building a boutique collection. In boutique hospitality, the most compelling properties aren't built. Usually they're inherited, reimagined, and brought to life with intention. This session welcomes Sarah Eustis, CEO of Main Street Hospitality, who's been with us for a very long time, as well as Kimberly Walker, who's been on our stages as well, founder of Nomada Hotel Group, for a candid conversation on kind of, behind the scenes, how everything that you both have built, which is amazing, by the way, is grounded in design, legacy, and place. So, why don't we start with Kimberly, Hotel Nomada Group, who owns and manages 5 properties. Tell us a little bit about you, Kimberly.
Well, I never really thought that I would be in hospitality outside of, having to work restaurants as a, side gig while I did my career. But I loved traveling. And I think that's where I was never able to really make that connection between love of travel and the hospitality industry. And it wasn't until I opened up my own small little restaurant in what is now the Granada Hotel that I fell in love with architecture, history, and and started creating lines between the things that I was passionate about and the career that I wanted to have. And it just organically, we started with Granada Hotel and Bistro. That's a 1922 building that was originally operated as a hotel, and then we remodeled it and turned it into what it is today. And then spent the next 10 years learning how to operate a hotel and restaurant, which is, quite an experience. And then began growing from there. And now we have 5 hotels that are operating on the Central Coast of California.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Amazing.
How about you, Sarah?
So cool. Well, thank you, Fran, for having me. Love being part of the BLLA universe.
Oh, thank you.
Um,
Appreciate it.
and so my background, yeah, also, I mean, this is effectively my second career, although I grew up inside my family's hospitality business in a 253-year-old hotel that's been in our family for about 53 years. And we all learned to work there, sort of like Kimberly. We whether we knew it or not, we were absorbing what hospitality was about, working in every job in the place, really understanding the dynamic and the care and feeding and attention to detail that is needed to keep a beloved place thriving. So that was just kind of by osmosis, but then I pursued a career in the apparel retail world where I spent 20 years working for, big brands you would recognize like Ralph Lauren and Gap Inc. and Limited Brands and so forth. And that was a great journey. But I came back to hospitality in 2012 because there was a big transition going on in my family at the time. We had 3 hotels then, a Relais Chateau, the Red Lion Inn, which is a big classic historic New England hotel, if any of you have been there. And then we had another property where I'm headed today called Porches, which is right next to a unbelievable contemporary art museum. But it wasn't a hotel company, it was 3 hotels. And so I saw an opportunity with my career, leveraging some of my career in bigger corporate entities that were still founder led, to be able to see if there was something special going on at our hotels. We knew that. If we could bottle that and codify it a little bit and spread it around and see if it held any water. And it turns out it did. So we formed Main Street Hospitality in 2014. We started being invited to do other projects with other people with that sort of placemaking objective, if you will. So historic buildings, transforming them, building new ones too, but ones that were built to last forever. So very fortunate. Had no idea what I was doing, Kimberly, so don't worry about it. Um, Not a clue. But what you do is you start surrounding yourself with people who do, and
Mm,
then you build a team, and it starts to evolve that way, as long as your vision is clear. And here we are, a little over 10 years later, with nine going on 10 properties and really strong relationships in different markets. But we seem to be suckers for really tough projects. I don't know why, but the ones that require kind of more creativity, more nuance seem to interest us. And so we find ourselves getting involved in those. And properties that maybe have been beloved for a long time and have just drifted away from their constituent. We find that interesting too, to try to reposition those projects under the Main Street. We're not a consumer facing brand in the way that some of our colleagues are in the marketplace. We're more than a management company, but not a brand in the sense of the word that we all would assign to it. So we live in a little bit of a niche space.
mm.
Love that. Love what you both have grown. Do you foresee adding to that collection? And by the way, everybody, you can ask questions in the chat.
Please
And
do. Yeah,
yeah,
we're happy to.
definitely. We're open here on our insider conversations. But I'm thinking myself, I have 130 projects in the works, so there's a lot of opportunities out there. But are you actively looking, or are you kind of like staying where you're at the moment? Just curious about that.
Kimberly, why don't you go?
Oh, we're working on a project right now, Pozo Saloon, in Santa Margarita. It is a turn of the century saloon and event space. There have been some very famous headlining acts there: Willie Nelson, the Black Crowes, Snoop Dogg. I
Wow.
mean, just it's a very long list, and there's a uh, very strong community that wants to see Pozo reopened, and so we feel very honored and excited about that project.
What a story to tell.
It's great. It is a
Oh,
fantastic
Amazing.
history.
where
Amazing.
is it, Kimberly? Again,
It's
exactly
in
again?
it's in Santa Margarita, which
Oh,
is like 30 minutes outside of San Luis Obispo. And just the drive there is stunning. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful part of California. And the history associated with, a saloon that has been there since 1858 is just fascinating. And,
so
from
cool.
my perspective, a lot of the projects that we've worked on, where, as Sarah said, like, we love a good like junker space that like has incredible bones, but is just not showing well and has been neglected or is really needing a lot of care. And those are the projects that we're normally attracted to. This project, though, Pozo, has so much historical strength and so much nostalgia built in that, if anything, when we got involved, I had community members like coming up to me in the grocery store saying, "You're not going to make it too nice, are you? Like, you're not going to like make it bougie, or like, they're more concerned with us not changing the things that they love about it most. And we don't want to either. So when I'm telling them that, all will be okay. But also it's a different type of weight to carry to make sure that the project that you have is still connected to all of the things that people love about it, while also making sure that it still feels relevant. Because I think that that's the thing that makes renovations and remodeling, and makes these sort of older buildings that have been disregarded by many, it's what makes modern travelers really love them is that they can also feel like they're not walking into just a museum. You know,
Mm,
they're not walking into a piece of history that is no longer speaking to them. I think that people go and visit those types of properties maybe once or twice, but we really like to our model is to have lifestyle travel
Hmm.
where people can they feel like they want to come to our properties, a couple times, more than just a once in a lifetime experience. We have people that come up from LA, twice a month, stay at
Wow.
Skyview, go to the pool, or stay at Skyview one time and then stay at Granada another. And so we like that type of ongoing lifestyle traveler as our guest. And so I feel like those types of projects we want to definitely continue to build and grow on.
it's
Authenticity,
awesome.
right? Authenticity is
Hmm.
important. The story, and giving them all those experiences that they want in a secondary market, by the way. I was just on another call about our conference about secondary markets. You know,
Hmm.
both of you have properties in secondary markets. So I love that because I think the traveler is going there. They're
And
looking.
yeah, we have them in tertiary and whatever comes after tertiary too. Whatever the name for that is.
I don't
Um,
know.
but it yeah, and that's where the idea of creating a destination as opposed to just being part of one is kind of interesting. Um, and I'd love to hear. We're a relatively small group. I'd love to hear from all of you and learn more about what you're interested in as we go along. But we have a pretty robust pipeline for which I'm very grateful. But we do each project so in such a handcrafted way. It sounds like Kimberly, you do too. Um, but it's kind of fun. Right now we have one that'll be opening in about a year. We've just launched it from a marketing standpoint. It's called the Sheldon,
Hmm,
and it's in Wakefield, Rhode Island, which is a great little community near Providence.
love it.
And it's in an old furniture store.
Oh,
And the people,
cool.
oh my God, and the community is in love with this old furniture store. And so the way we do it's going to be a 20-room hotel. This is a little small for us generally, but it's right on Main Street, which makes it a great Main Street hospitality hotel.
Oh,
And it is going to be beautifully designed, and you can hop on Instagram, and I think our website placeholder is up. But it's going to be all the things that you talked about, Kimberly. So I live and breathe what you said it very eloquently, which is not being overly nostalgic and
Hmm.
themey and historic.
Hmm.
But I find, and this may be controversial for me to throw out here, but I feel like in the boutique space, so much is looking the same. There's a sameness epidemic, I
Hmm.
think.
hmm.
So where you can find really authentic materials, where you can, there are incredible design groups out there, and we work with a lot of them. Um, but that quirkiness, that
Hmm.
rootedness, that when people can connect to something real, I think it makes the experience so much more rewarding, and that's the way we like to think about things. We're also um, developing a hotel in Boston on South Street in the Leather District, for any of you who know Boston, of a adaptive reuse of two historic buildings um, in this very groovy neighborhood in Boston that's reemerging. Um, and that's a bigger project. I mean, that's a 120 room adaptive reuse in Boston, so that's more in the 60 to 70 million dollar project range.
Wow.
And so we love doing those too, where we work on a kind of a spectrum of projects, but all with the right partners, which again, Kimberly, it sounds like you you guys running your own projects and financing your own projects for the most part. Yeah,
We
that's
do.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it
great.
really controls the growth.
Well, well, it does. But it's also means you're working for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm also I love working with great partners, but I'm accountable to a lot of quote partners, clients, investors,
Hmm.
bankers, and I'm okay with that. But
Yeah,
it's like a whole different work stream when you're in the service business a little bit more. So um,
absolutely.
we are also just for fun and moving into some alternate hospitality spaces, um, which I think, Fran, you've done some focus on to be fun at BLLA to talk about. So, for example, we're working with an amazing team on the first mechanized wave pool surfing resort park in New England.
Wow.
Very cool.
Tell
And
us
we're
about
doing,
that.
well, it's a little embargoed at the moment. I can tell you a little bit, but
Okay.
it's going to be amazing. It is happening. And I just came back from Scotland where I went to see a comparable property, a surf park in Scotland in Edinburgh. Go figure.
Wow.
Unbelievable. So I think the idea of, hospitality adjacent to these sort of created sports destinations could be Top Golf,
Mm.
could be surfing, could be, there's a lot of this going on now. So I did it because my friend who's developing it asked me to. So that's why. It's not like right in our sweet spot, but we're giving it a shot. So
Sounds amazing, though. There, it sounds like you can do some really cool things with the design.
absolutely. And I think it could, it relates to adjacencies and Kimberly, your properties are these incredibly unique places of their own. Ours are too, but we also like that adjacency to museums, to institutions.
Mhm.
We just acquired with some partners the Exeter Inn at Phillips Exeter Academy, which is a prestigious boarding school. We really like working with that sort of um, core institution. Certainly drives revenue for the property,
Yeah.
but we work together on programming. We have a very kind of collaborative relationship. Um, so we like working in that space where hospitality is also supporting the community and supporting institutions around it, if that makes sense.
Mhm. You get a lot of support from the communities you build in. Like, are they like part of the ink work that you're doing at your property? Like other business owners, the city, etc.
I feel like when you're rehabbing a property that is a eyesore for a lot of people, or I can say that about every hotel we've done except one, that by nature of the state of the property when we purchased it, there was incredible community support
Mm.
because it's either a detriment because of people using it for nefarious things, or it's ugly because it's in disrepair, or it's also, in the case of Granada, when we purchased it, there was a demo permit issued to the previous developer. He was going to tear down this beautiful 1922 brick building that was a part of the town's history in order to build a three-story mixed use underground parking. And so I think that people, most people are savvy enough to understand if we don't take care of these buildings and if we don't make use of these buildings, then they disappear. And the more that these, things disappear, the more that these buildings disappear, the more of our history disappears. And so I think by nature of having this sort of model, you naturally have community support, which is amazing to have in development because
Mm.
it's so challenging that the more support that you have behind you, it just makes the hard days less difficult. And the roadblocks seem to not be as great because a lot of a lot of the reasons why people say no to things are no longer there because they're looking at the long-term,
Right.
viability of the building and the community.
It's like you have your own cheerleading team, right?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, that's what we've seen.
Yeah. And I would say on the whole, I agree with you. The stakeholder management of getting these projects done, I would say
Piece of
is a
advice.
critical part of getting them done. And we've experienced much of what you described, Kimberly, but also fear of change. So
Hmm.
you can run into resistance where you didn't expect it.
Mhm.
I don't know if somebody has an echo on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
no, that's okay. And you can run into that sort of fear of change. And you described it really well. It's um, so for example, even at our heritage property in Stockbridge, Massachusetts, that my family's owned for 53 years, we're doing master planning and we have to make some adjustments to the campus. And we're in front of the town and they are supportive and they will be. And part of me looks at them and says, do you have any idea, how hard we work to keep this place going? Nobody makes a lot of money. It is God's work, as we call it.
Hmm.
But even inherently, there will be, um, yeah, sometimes just kind of fear of change and a little bit of resistance that uh, I always recommend full transparency. Invite the critics in early, I guess is
Hmm.
what I would advocate for.
You mentioned some of those fashion brands, Sarah, that you kind of look at your properties and maybe they kind of follow you over to the property. Um, how do you think the fashion brands or other consumer brands that people might really relate to be a part of your story? And
Mm,
do you actually, have you ever done anything actually with any of those fashion brands or other consumer brands?
mm.
Any collabs?
Yes, indeed. We have done some collabs and I sometimes and I don't want to jinx this, but I often have wondered why Ralph Lauren, where I worked for a long time, hasn't done his own hotel yet.
Yeah, that's a
Right?
yet.
Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
because that brand identity is so strong and the restaurant, the polo bars, that has all been very well received. So who knows? It may be in the works. Maybe I should call Ralph and do it with him.
You
Um,
should. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so I guess, to answer your question in two parts, my fashion career was not glamorous, guys. Don't get any, it was not, but it was sitting at sort of the right hand of some of these incredible brand builders like Ralph Lauren, like the Gap Inc.
Mm,
crew. Um, Limited Brands, the founder would show up every day and talk about what he believed in and why we were doing this and what was important. And so what I took from all of that, aside from, yes, some understanding of how to protect your brand, how to help protect it against drift.
hmm
Because Kimberly, you can design a beautiful space. And again, you do have a lot of control, but even someone working in the space who means well can make a decision that's off brand,
mm,
right? And you walk in, you're like, what is that? So
Hmm.
my one thing I brought over, Fran, to answer your question was a sort of intuitive understanding of what that sort of brand guardian role is and
hmm
how to define a brand. We each of our hotels have brand Bibles
hmm
because if you don't teach people about why those flowers are the ones and not those, and
Hmm.
those sheets are the ones and not those, and you can't use this font because it's not, then it's your fault if your brand drifts. So
Right.
you got to have a playbook that people can follow. So that's one. And a kind of vigilance. Doesn't mean you don't listen to people's ideas and voices and inputs, but
Hmm.
ultimately it's got to be maintained. We have done, and then in thinking about collaborations, thinking about what are the right brands to collaborate with for your property or your own brand, which would be different in one of your properties, Kimberly, than maybe in one of ours. So, for instance, at Canoe Place Inn, which is our luxury property in the Hamptons, Long Island, we've done collaborations with Tory Burch. We've done collaborations with with Francisco Costa from Calvin Klein around his amenities, lotions and shampoo line, which we opened with
I
at the
love that.
hotel. Just these very kind of quieter, Um, we are doing right now a collaboration at the Red Lion Inn, having a couple rooms designed by John Robshaw, who's not fashion, but a well-known on the East Coast interior designer. Um, you know, we are collaborating with artists at our hotels that are adjacent to art museums.
Mm.
So I think it's a very cool way to turn up the volume on your brand by connecting it to another one, but you have to be very, very choosy
Yes.
about what that is. But I think there's a whole new world out there for hotels to do collaborations that we haven't even scratched the surface, and
Mm,
we should be doing more of it, frankly.
absolutely. Otherwise, you'll see a lot of these brands building their own. Like in Malibu, I don't know if you've heard of Chrome Hearts, but it
Mhm.
was paid the most per room for
Wild amount.
Ever.
anybody. Yeah, like 2 million a room, 1.8 or 2 million a room. It's a small hotel, 22 rooms, but they want to take it's a husband and wife. They
Yeah.
want to take their brand, which is a cult brand. I mean, you
Mhm.
have
Yeah.
to stand outside and um, wait to purchase your, $120 t-shirt. And so I see a lot of those fashion icons who are doing the
Yeah.
same thing. And in fact, I think it was 2018, we had John Varvatos,
Mhm.
famous men's fashion. He was on stage. And the
Yes.
reason was I was in Century City. I walked into his store and I said, "Oh, I'm in a boutique hotel." I mean, it felt so like our hotels. And I said, "You've got to come and discuss why you design your stores so unusual and different and beautiful."
Hmm.
And I think it all goes together with our hotel
Yeah.
sector. And I love that.
Well, I think it's true. And Kimberly, I want to hear your point of view. I mean, the only thing I would say, again, just to take the other perspective as well, whether it was, Equinox was a brand that opened hotels, other non-hospitality brands have tried it and are doing some of it. In the end, I don't think it matters how many bells and whistles you have around the Chrome Hearts or the this or the that. You still have to make people feel great in your hotel. You still have to operate. You still
Yeah.
have to, do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it could easily get, what's the word I'm looking for?
Over luxuriated.
Over, no, well, not even that, but is it about, people need to go there to feel great and feel,
Yeah.
and if they love the DNA of your brand already, and oh my God, they just did a hotel, that'll get them there. But once they get there, you've got to deliver an experience and you've got to
Exactly.
run the operation in a way
Yes.
that really works. Does that make sense? So
We
that's why,
should do a study on that, actually, like Christian Louboutin, the famous shoes.
yeah,
How do people like coming to his hotel property? And
I
and
know.
there's so many other fashion and other brands that, yeah, they're
Exactly.
taking a chance actually, because if they're very successful, right, in their brand outside of hospitality, they're gonna have to carry that forward. So I think it's probably a harder task for them unless they understand it or have someone like you by their side,
Well,
basically.
they could just hire us and then that would be great.
Exactly. It's funny that we're talking about this because our conference in 2 weeks from yesterday, a week from next Wednesday, is talking about what we call the third space. And that third space is everything else that all combines to bring, the hotel property, all their bits. It's not just having hotel rooms and food and beverage. It's way more than that. Um, and I think what we're talking about here just fits so beautifully, fashion and everything else that, fits inside the design of your hotel property. Talk a little bit about your design. Like, how do you go about it? How do you start?
Well, so we always start with the history, a lot of research and understanding, a lot of the properties that we have done are, 1922, 1947, 1955. And so starting in, those in the beginning, and then working our way through a timeline, gathering as much information as we can, and obviously walking the space, knowing the communities. We live here, so we're, very familiar with the locations of all of the properties, and all of that plays into a direction. I think I always end up starting with a couple things that I naturally like in the space, whether it's, oh, at Skyview, it was these
Heavy.
bizarre cactus pillars that were holding up the sort of carport at Norman, and River Lodge was the sign, and the fireplace in the lobby. Farmhouse was the architecture of these little bungalows that felt like a very like gardenscape. And so I think the building itself begins the direction, and then it just evolves from that. But I think when you're dealing with historic spaces, you need to use those sorts of things that they provide you as the roadmap, because with a new build, you can do whatever. Everything is available to you. And I think that one of the beauties of starting from something is that if as long as you're being true to that something, then you naturally have a sort of framework to start with.
It's a
I
great,
love
yeah,
that.
it's so cool. I'm on my way up now. We're in to North Adams, Massachusetts, where none of you may have been. It's okay. Um, but it's an older industrial, once thriving industrial city in Massachusetts, of which there are many that have gone through, you know, complete downturns, and some are coming back. So our hotel, which is 45 room property. Was built in the workers' housing for the mill that is now where this world-class contemporary art museum lives inside of, right? So if you check it out online, you can see these beautiful little houses that were individual. We connected them all and created the hotel out of these houses that they all have porches across the front. And I can't take credit because my mother really did the design, but used the same kind of inspiration around what would those people have decorated their houses with in that time.
Mhm.
Paint by numbers paintings, um, samplers of needlepoint. And she did it in such a way that we're 25 years old and the hotel feels fresh. And we've added and
Wow.
we've adapted, but we haven't changed that much.
Mm-hmm.
So and cool hipsters like to hang out there because it's kind of got a granny chic feel to it. Um, and that is not how all our hotels look. Each one is totally individual. But as Kimberly said, it is, I think, essential to take the fabric of the historical place and
Mm-hmm.
and think about a nuanced and sophisticated way of translating it. Because I think people like to connect to things from the past if it's done well. And think
Absolutely.
about the lives that have been lived in that place. I know I do. I think it's
Mm.
kind of gives you a spirit of a place. So
History.
yeah.
If you have it, why not?
Hmm.
It's an integral part of that brand of that property, right? What you spoke about your mother, Sarah. So is this kind of a family business for both of you?
Well, we are third generation uh stewards of sort of those three original hotels. And then I formed Main Street, and my siblings are partners in the company. They're more passive. They're not
Mhm.
super active.
Right.
Uh, but we are a third generation family business.
Love that. When's the
And
book coming out?
I don't know.
No time to write a book,
I'm
right?
not, no, well, maybe someday. And it's been pretty much female led pretty much every generation, which is kind
Oh,
of fun.
that's awesome.
Neither, whatever that means.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
but we're reinventing in each generation, which is fun. And my son is heading. He just graduated with a master's, and is heading to Washington to work for Pebblebrook, which is a big REIT. Maybe everybody knows.
Yes.
And so we may have at least a finance, real estate finance investment specialist in the fourth generation, which would be very handy.
That will
But we'll
help,
see.
right?
But both my boys have grown up working in, every summer and earning their money and doing every job and really understanding it kind of the way we did as kids. So yeah.
I love the family businesses, particularly in our sector. There's so many. Ariella was speaking yesterday with Rocco Forte's son and daughter. Rocco Forte is a big brand in Europe, a very luxury brand, and the kids are definitely taking over. So that generational change, is great because they're going to bring their own generational things to those properties, which are already, high-end luxury. But it'll be interesting to see what they do in the future for sure. How about
What do you
you,
do?
Kimberly?
Oh, sorry, Kimberly. Yeah, are you working with your family, sort of?
No, I
Nope.
mean, I work with I guess a chosen family. I mean, we've been together we started Nomada. I've told this story so many times, but it's pretty funny. There was four of us. We loved the little bistro that I had, four tables. It was kind of like a clubhouse, and the building was going to be sold and most likely demolished. And we were at Burning Man. This was a long time ago. And we were
Mhm.
sitting, it was like 3 in the morning. We were all dirty and probably a little drunk. And we're sitting around the fire talking about how, we got to save the bistro and let's buy the building, yeah, let's do it. And we did it. And
Wow,
and
congrats.
just the sort of passion that we had for the space and the building um and the fact that we've been together through this entire journey since now it's probably been like 15 or 20 years, and it's definitely been over 20 years since the bistro was there. So it's been a fantastic journey that we've all been able to take together. And I hope we just continue to take it together. So yeah.
Awesome. Love it.
Oh, cool.
Sarah, you had something else to add
No,
to
no,
that?
Fran, I was going to ask because we're a relatively small group, if it'd be okay to introduce the other folks on the call and just hear where you're coming from and
That's a
why
great
you
idea.
why you like showing up at these talks. I'm interested to know more about the BLLA community. And if
Absolutely.
there's anything else we can answer for you guys, obviously we'd be happy to. But just to
Yes.
there's some I'm interested to hear from you guys too.
So anybody who would like to, Maya, you're always with us. We love it.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. And thank you so much, Sarah and Kimberly. It's so refreshing. And Fran, of course, you always get everyone together on these really wonderful discussions. But it's so refreshing. I own the Culver Hotel in Culver City, and we
I've
have
been
had,
there.
yeah, excellent.
Love
And
it.
we, again, just hearing the words for the last half an hour about, discovering places that have been forgotten or neglected and just getting so excited about what they could be and really trying to save them in some way. And, having that fireplace or that door handle kind of inspire that whole rebirth from a design perspective and from a community perspective, just getting everybody on board and excited. Although it's not always easy, people are afraid of change, but I do think that in our boutique space, I think more and more travelers and guests, they want this. They want the authenticity. They want that old building that somebody found and just, that that diamond that got polished up again and
Mm.
is beautiful and vibrant and alive. And the point about really keeping it relevant and modern without honoring the past, but bringing it into the future in all the right ways, whether it's through your culinary program or your collaborations, and really getting your brand aligned with others and bringing people in. I think it's so refreshing. It is, I think one of the beautiful things about the boutique space is really creating that uniqueness. And a lot of the hotel groups now are just becoming more and more corporate, I guess, and
Mhm.
standardized. And I think our space really allows people to stay connected with really the truth
Yeah.
and what is behind what we do, which is the passion for hospitality, obviously, number one. You can have the most beautiful space in the world. And if the feeling is not right on the inside, if it lacks soul, and if your staff doesn't share that same um, care for people, it really comes down to caring for people and how you make them feel. It's really that emotional side of hospitality that's so important. And it can happen in a 2-star hotel or a 3-star hotel. It doesn't have to be a 5-star hotel. How you make people feel is in our control, actually. Um, and I really love hearing these stories. I also come from a family of hoteliers. My mom started this many years ago, and my sisters and I are now in it, and we're now teaching the third generation. I actually have them listening in on this call, my niece and my nephew, just to kind of
I thought so.
know, yeah, just to kind of get everybody into, not that this is what they have to do, but they certainly grew up around it and they need to understand perhaps what to do with it. As we want to go do more of the traveling,
Mhm.
we're going to have to take care a little more. But
Yeah.
it's just really a really refreshing call. And it makes me feel good to know that there's still really that authenticity that the people that are part of BLLA share, and we do it for a reason, and it is tough. It's not always easy. Old buildings are a pain in the butt. Uh, there's always a little surprise behind the wall, something we didn't anticipate, and we deal with it, and it's part of bringing it back to life and fixing it. We're really stewards of
Yeah.
that history and that architecture. So
Great,
Any
Maya.
treasures?
Thank
Do you
you.
find any treasures there in those old
we're
buildings?
still digging.
Yeah.
How
We're
fun would
still
that
digging,
be?
but we really, I think, through these conversations get to share and kind of maintain what this is all about. What we're doing is, I think, significant, not just as a business, but also for communities and to keep places and their histories alive. And that's a wonderful thing. So I just want
Awesome.
to say
Thank you
thanks.
so much. Cool.
Thank
I
you,
want to
Maya.
come
I
to the
appreciate
Culver. I
it.
want to come check it out.
Anybody
Yeah.
else want to speak up? Oh, Burial, yes. You just have to unmute yourself.
Yes, I have a dog barking, so
Hi,
Oh,
Muriel.
there's that.
we know how that
Well,
is.
thank you so much always for these calls. I try to make it and just it's for me it's actually like that hour of like you hear more from what you're doing and kind of like a support of like you are in the right track, you're doing the right track. So we have a small hotel. We are in the middle of nowhere, so we are definitely Kimberly, you're familiar, yes, with us, but
You're a
we
destination. You're a
Where are you?
destination.
for
Can you reveal your
destination.
location?
There's no other reason for you to come unless you're coming to stay with us. It's called Kuyama Buckhorn.
Yes,
Kuyama
we love
Buckhorn.
it.
Very cool.
Love
It's
it. Love
very
We
it.
cool.
are, yeah,
Oh,
we are in the, and talking about, so we come from two worlds. I'm an architect, I'm a designer, so that's our job in LA. And then Kuyama is our hospitality. And for us on the design, it was a lot of like, the building was mid-century. 1952. The architect who had built it was designed it was the architect who designed Flamingo in Vegas and had
oh,
designed Zero in LA. And we kept on looking like, where is that? Because you can't see much of it now, finally, after years. And after we build the support with the community, people are just dropping off pictures of the old times and how the bar looked like and how and it was fascinating because like just going through it, like we walked through this room and it was all storage and like, this doesn't make sense. There's a fireplace. Like, I'm like, this was a lobby. And we took like the whole turn to find out it was a lobby. And then we get like the ranchers come in and they're like, oh, you put the lobby back where it was.
Yeah.
So it's been good. We are a family business also. My daughter has her own company, Holiday Studio. She does heavily hospitality branding.
Hmm.
She's working on LA Chef Conference right now. She does a lot of hotel stuff. So yes, it has been. And then interestingly, because we're such a small community, we have 234 houses in our neighborhood. That's it.
Love it. Love it.
And we have ranchers and the ranches and the farms around, but still at max, maybe in a, I don't know, 20-mile, 30-mile radius, we're 2,000 people. So our staff are also family. So we have a grandma in the kitchen and her grandson is in the kitchen. That whole concept of like you don't hire husband and wife, you don't hire this was out for us like day one.
Yeah.
Our manager, her sister-in-law is our head server, and her
Love it.
boyfriend is the bartender. So it's all we have our property keeper. His sister is one of the housekeepers. Her son is on the it's only families.
But that's,
So it's
Sariel,
not
that's so amazing. And I was just looking at your website real quick because I just wanted to get a vibe and it's amazing. But I want to highlight something because even as we grow and we get into 9, 10, 11, 12 properties, Kimberly, maybe you keep growing. When the person who owns the place is actually there, or the family of the owners is really there, to me, that's what's getting lost in a lot of things. And it doesn't always have to be you, but it's these people clearly have a ton of house pride and they feel like your family anyway. So to me, that's to maintain that no matter how many products you have, it's hard to do. It makes all the difference in the world. Um,
It
so
does.
I mean, bravo, it sounds
it
amazing. Okay.
it
I just
does. No, it
yeah,
does. We see it daily. Like it's very different. Like first of all, like everybody's just happy when we're there, which
Yeah.
is wonderful to see.
yeah,
Nobody's trying to hide or do work that differently or thing. They just get excited we're there, and they have became families. 8 years now we've owned it, and the community was interesting
wow,
because the property had gone through so many ownerships and everybody changed it to what they wanted it to be. And the last ownership had actually like thought it was a father and son that thought that you can make the property like a, I don't know, they had girls dancing in the bar on top of tables. So, but this is a community, and there was like so
one
in one
approach.
night
Yeah,
we have the weirdest like our program goes like I've had, I don't know, last event we had a chef, which was the Hotel Bel Air chef from LA, there to do a dinner.
Wow.
I have a wine coming in, like so we're doing that. Meanwhile, we're also hosting the prom for the school kids,
I
and
love
all
it.
the school kids are and
fantastic.
everybody was like, all our guests were just like so adored by like it's really like that's the part we didn't know we're getting involved in, was how tight knit with the community we're going to become. Every community event, every kids event, every the teachers are all friends, and they reach out like if the kids do well, they want to bring them to have like lunch, and we provide that and we take care of that. But that's like how it's
Yeah,
beautiful to see
it's
hard work,
amazing.
and
What a
still
great
it's
place.
there, and getting people there still is a we have the same. We have people that come 12 times a year, but and they
Amazing.
love it. Most of our people, when you go to a check-in, it's like they've been here another 3 times, they've been here another 5 times, and kind of
That
and
is
then
extraordinary.
interestingly, yeah, we're getting our weddings as the same too. They
Yeah.
came a couple of times and now they're having their weddings, so it's
Well,
interesting.
you're doing something right. You're doing a lot of things right, it sounds like.
Definitely.
Um, I just want to make sure John had a question in the chat, and I want to be
Yes.
mindful of time, but maybe we should dive into that.
How do you create the story with a new build? Yeah, that doesn't have any history yet, I guess. That's a good
Yeah.
question, right? You have to create the
And
story,
you're the, yeah, then,
right?
yeah, I would, I've thought about that quite a bit because we have uh, thought about would we ever, start something from scratch? Um, John, I would think that your point of view is the point of view now, obviously, just so like make sure that what is your vision? And I think that in anything like creating that as a starting point, and I hope that that point of view has the community involved because as a hotel, you should, from my belief, a hotel should reflect the community that it's in, so it feels like it's an extension of someone's experience because you know, for most places, a hotel is a part of the reason why people go to a destination. And so if you can feel like you're a part of an entire ecosystem of a place, then I think that's a better guest experience. And then to go back to that point of view, I think that making sure that you define that before you start getting a lot of people involved because everybody has one and everybody is coming at your project from a different place, whether it's the contractor or if you hire an interior designer or if you have a management company or all these things. I think that it's very easy when you're not strong in your vision to get dazzled or maybe go in a different direction. I think it's really important to think about what you want to achieve in design and hospitality and guest experience. Um, and I always find that the best way of doing that is to travel and go and stay at other properties. And whether those are anything from a hostel to a five-star, and really paying attention to the experience and what you like and dislike about it, and then use all of those things as part of what kind of vision you want to bring to life through your project.
Love that. Maya had
Great.
brought up here about, and it actually was one of our questions, we just haven't gotten to it. How do you grow a hotel group with operational challenges? And can technology, we have some tech
Yeah.
people here, how can technology kind of help you with that as well, with operations? Any
I,
thoughts on
I
that?
think I think the question is also with the current landscape with labor issues and getting people to commit to that same vision we have. When you have a smaller group, it's a little bit easier. But as you get a larger group and more hotels, for example, you kind of lose the ability to keep your finger on the pulse or to, um, you know, as 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 Sarah was saying, you need to stay with people and make sure that they make those right decisions. And the more we grow, the more we kind of lose touch with
Yeah.
with the essence of what we're doing in the first place. And it does get frustrating at times because sometimes there are very small
Mm.
details, and we are in the detail business. Everything we do is about those small details we make, whether it's design choices or how we treat a guest when they walk in the door, and we lose the ability to control that sometimes. Maybe control is not the right word, but to execute in the same way with the same feeling. Um, and so sometimes, yeah, I love the hospitality business, but as I think of growing, I'm like, how do you deal
Yeah.
with that reality?
One, and I'd rather spend all day talking with you guys. I do have a 2 o'clock that I have to host, so I'm gonna have to be mindful. But here, I might direct you toward a good, a good source, and many people reference. So Danny Meyer, who I feel grateful to call a friend. Um,
Danny.
he wrote his book. Um, right after he said the hardest thing. What's the name of his book again? I can't remember.
Setting the table.
Setting the Table. Oh my God, I
Oh,
can't believe
love
I forgot
it.
that. His book Setting the Table, which has informed, it certainly kicked me off on my hospitality career, and just the fundamentals in that book still I live and breathe them to this day. And one of the things he says in there is that, he had all this success at Union Square Cafe, like off the charts. And the hardest thing you will do is do your second location,
Hmm.
because when you went over to do Gramercy, um, and he talks in depth about why and why that was hard, and how it forces you to articulate to more people those brand standards and those hospitality standards and those detail standards. And it can't just live in your brain anymore, right? So that might be helpful for you, because he has he put structure around it. There's a whole chapter on something called constant gracious pressure,
Hmm.
which is like, nope, salt shaker goes over here. Nope, goes over here. Nope, you have to do it all the time. So that really helped me as we were growing, I will say. And then that the inclusion of people, leaders who may become, let's say, a senior person with two or three of your hotels under their stewardship, like we have, regional VP, um, who has to be wired in a way that really understands your brands, your company strategy, your culture. And those people are hard to find, but they're absolutely findable. And I would just say that codifying your vision really clearly as you think about growing, um, is the most important thing. And it's hard.
And
I feel it all the time.
Meyer, by
Thank
the way,
you for
is
that.
coming up with another book now
Oh,
that
is he?
Yes,
talks
he
about
is.
all his, well, let's call them failures, how everything seemed so, peachy from the outside, but how he failed so many times and what he
Yeah,
learned.
I
Yeah,
So that's
know. I love that he's doing that. It really is. Yeah.
that's
So
great.
listen, well, I've got to hop,
We
but I
got to
just thank
hop,
you
but
so
thank you,
much,
Sarah.
everybody.
Thank you so
Kimberly,
much.
Hi,
I'd love to
Sarah.
stay in touch with you. I
I
want to
would love
check
it
out your
too.
hotels. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Come to
Well,
BLLA conferences. You know that, guys.
I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there.
I know you are.
Yeah.
Kimberly, you'll
Thank
probably be in October, right? Thank you,
Yes.
Sarah. I know you have to
thank
leave.
you guys very much.
Thank
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 you.
you. Thank
you.
you for
Thank
being
you so
here.
much.
Reach out anytime. Thanks.
Okay, we will for sure.
I would like to just say one thing on the subject, because it's
Yeah.
something we talk about a lot, and because we deal with it. We're it's not just it's not just growth that makes you question, like, why isn't the message that I was delivering a year ago hitting the same way that it did with the staff? Or, you know, why do I keep having to teach the same lessons over and over again? The staffing and the education is everything. And I
Right.
think that one thing that we're always trying to remember is that not only are our guest tastes changing, and not only
Hmm.
are we needing to pay attention to the guests and how they evolve and how we want to service them, but we have to pay attention to how the staff retains information and how the staff learns, and how, maybe, 2 years ago it was, let's have a meeting and go through role playing and talk about things. And now, the way that staff is learning is maybe through computers, or, through, text message reminders. And it's always changing, it's always evolving. And I think, one, we just have to get comfortable with that as leadership,
Right.
and say, okay, we have to continue to check in, and we have to continue to make sure that, staff education and staff training and retention and all of those things are at the forefront of the way that we communicate with on-site teams and each other, and paying attention to the way people learn and
Yeah.
retain information. Because, Maya, like you said, this, you can have a beautiful space, but the staff and the hospitality and all of those things that go along with the human part of things it can make or break a guest experience. And it's also so vital to the guest experience. You know,
Right.
that's what separates us from like a VRBO or a short-term rental where you just automatically
100%.
check in and you don't have to see another person. And
Right.
so
I think
I
Yeah,
using,
no,
what
that's a
about
very good
using
point.
text?
I think using, as you said, using new ways of communication
Yeah.
Mhm.
and staying on top of what people are receptive to these days. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
technology. I'm just bringing tech into it.
Yes, and technology, and I mean, technology can be so helpful in so many ways, and it
Yeah.
can also be so daunting because when it doesn't work or when you have to train on new systems or one system doesn't integrate with the other system, or it did at one point and now it doesn't. I mean,
Has to be seamless
I know a couple
if
days ago I was
possible.
like, gosh, the days of the guest check. We didn't really like how wonderful. You just write an order, you take the cash, you put it in the register, you count it at the end of the
Back to
night.
the old days,
Yes.
right?
I mean, yeah. So I don't
Well,
know. I
well,
think you
thank you
just have to
guys.
get used to being uncomfortable and not feel like you're necessarily going in the wrong direction because things aren't working. Because
That's
I
true.
think that just there's so much change happening
Exactly.
all the time.
Exactly. Well, guys, I know we could talk all day, right? Um, but yes, those are some things that I think we should put into our owners conference in the fall to talk about, some of the things that we spoke about today. So I want to thank you, everybody, for being
Yes,
here.
thank
And
you for
you
having me.
guys, it's always great, Maya. You always come in and we love that about you. Thank you so much.
Of course.
I just put a
Thank
note
you.
in for Ferial. Oh, she said something. Yeah. The best picture of one of the best pictures I have of Ariella is standing in front of the Kayama Buckhorn, holding the big state, official hotel of Stay Boutique in BLLA. And she's holding the plaque, and you see Kayama Buckhorn in the back. And that was probably
It was
before
long.
COVID, I think,
I would
like
say,
2018.
6 year. I would
Yeah.
say 2019.
I
Yes,
love it. I
yes.
love it. Well, thank you guys. And we hope to see you at our October conference, Ferial. You have to
Yes.
come.
No, definitely. We'll be
Definitely.
there. Yes.
Awesome. Well,
Mhm.
have a great rest of your day,
Everyone, thank you so
everyone.
much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.